We reported 1.6 billion adjusted net income and 2.6 billion EBITDA. As you said rightly, this is a significant reduction on the previous year, but I should say that the previous year, namely 2023, was really exceptional. And the reason for that is because we benefited from the very, very high prices we experienced during the energy crisis, and we'd hedged a large number of our power assets. And we benefited from that. And of course, that was after 2022, when Uniper was bailed out by the German government. We had a spectacular return to profitability in 23, and 24 is also an exceptionally good result. But prices have come down, and that's reflected in our result.
It also seems to be reflected in your guidance for 2025. So despite seeing a significant reduction in earnings this year, it looks like, for 2024, it looks like 2025, we're going to see another step down.
Yeah, indeed. And again, this simply reflects the fact that power prices have been coming down, particularly in the Nordic region. And we have a large exposure there with our nuclear and hydro plants. And that means that our earnings are reflecting the development in power prices. This was all predicted, by the way. This didn't come as a shock. We have known that the power prices are falling, and what we're seeing is what we call the normalization in our earnings after the crisis.
Really normalization after an extraordinary period. You also announced today that you'll be repaying 2.6 billion euros to the German government. This was part of that crisis bailout package that the government supplied to Uniper. How did such a sizable amount come together in terms of what you decided to repay this quarter?
Well, we have to repay what was in the agreement with the German government when the bailout happened. So there was a calculation included in there as to how much would need to be repaid. And this is the outcome of that calculation, 2.6 billion euros. And it reflects the fact that we recovered very, very rapidly after the bailout. You have to remember that when the original payment was approved by the EU Commission, that was 34 billion euros. In the event, 13.5 billion euros was invested in Uniper by the German government, and we're now in a position where we can pay back 2.6 billion euros. And of course, we've also paid the government some funds that we didn't pay to Gazprom during or following our successful win in the arbitration court last year when we won damages from Gazprom. We could now pay monies we hadn't paid to Gazprom to the German government. So in total, it's over 3 billion. And bear in mind that the government still owns 99.2% or thereabouts of the equity in Uniper.
On that note, do you have any update for the market on when we're likely to see the government sell down its stake and what the likely route to exit is?
Well, that's a question you'd have to put to the German government. I can only say that we are obliged to support the German government in the reprivatization. The framework is that according to the EU state aid package, they have to sell down to 25% plus one share by the end of 2028. The new government, which is now being formed, there's obviously a coalition discussion starting between the CDU-CSU, the union, and the SPD, and the new government will have to decide how they want to execute that legal obligation, and we stand ready to support them.